The path to the summit was wide enough for the two of us to walk side by side, but neither of us dared. We clung to the rope railing with both hands, practically hugging it as we took careful, uneven steps up the steep, winding path. The stone beneath our feet was rigid and cold, chipped smooth by years of wind and weather. Every gust made the rope tremble, and every tremor sent my stomach lurching. I could see what looked like the top of Mount Crystalia ahead, just barely. The path curved around the mountain's spine and disappeared again, teasing us with the promise of an ending that still felt impossibly far away. Below us, Arovia lay trapped, the void encasing it, glue mines attacking in countless droves. The enormous city was too distant now to hear, too small to tell whether our friends had successfully evacuated to the caves, whether anyone had been taken by glue mines. The city that had been full of light and voices felt unreachable, like a memory already slipping away. And the void didn't move. It only waited, like it was watching, patiently, for an opportunity, like it had cornered its prey and was just biding its time before it pounced. I swallowed hard. My hands were shaking, not just from my death grip I had the rope railing in, but from the terrifying unknown waiting for us at the top. Kellanira said Mom was up here. She said she'd help us get home, but how? The wind surged suddenly, stronger than before. It slammed into us so hard that Louisa screamed. We both froze and flattened ourselves against the rock wall, fingers locking tighter around the rope as the mountain seemed to breathe against us. I reached out with one hand for my sister and grabbed her arm, refusing to let her slip away from me again.
I hate this so much.
Louisa shouted, her voice nearly ripped away by the gust. I couldn't answer. I could barely breathe as fear pressed into my chest, thick and suffocating. What was happening below? Had the glue mines been stopped? Had anyone... My breathing hitched again and again as my thoughts began to spiral out of control. Louisa's hand had gripped my arm back. She squeezed, grounding me. I nodded, even though my vision swam, and we pressed on. My legs burned from the long and steady incline. The path curved sharply, funneling us between two towering rock faces that blocked the wind like a hallway. The sudden stillness almost knocked the air from my lungs from sheer surprise. We stumbled forward and sank down against the stone walls, gasping.
How much further?
Louisa asked, breathless. I looked up. The mountains still rose above us, but not by much, and the void's converging strands. They came to a point that seemed close. We're close, I said. We have to be. I stood, my legs trembling, and peered ahead. The path turned one final corner. Stay here, I told Louisa. I'll check. She nodded, closed her eyes, and leaned her head back. I rounded the bend, and the mountain opened. The narrow path gave way to a wide, uneven clearing carved into the very crown of Mount Crystalia. Pale stone stretched out beneath my feet, laced with faint veins of blue light that glimmered like something was alive beneath the surface. Jagged walls rose around the summit like a broken bowl, their edges sharp against the sky. And above it all, the void had gathered. It didn't hang over Arovia like a wall anymore. It curved like a dome, but it also extended down. A pillar of deep purple-black darkness descended from the meeting point in the sky and planted itself at the center of the summit. Its surface rippled slowly and endlessly, like a disturbed bottomless lake that never calmed. The hum wasn't loud, but it vibrated through the stone and into my bones, low, constant, and steady. Just beyond it, half hidden by shadows and stone, something else stood. A tall oval shape rose from the mountain itself, almost like it had grown there. Its surface shimmered faintly, not reflective like glass, but fluid, slow-moving, like light drifting beneath ice. Its edges were framed in the same blue crystal I'd seen in the cavern. Crystallis. Veins of soft blue light threaded through it, pulsing gently, almost in rhythm with the void's hum. I didn't know what it was, but the moment I saw it, I felt something in my chest. And beside it, someone lay on the ground. "Louisa!" I called back, my voice breaking. "Come here! Hurry!" Footsteps scraped behind me, fast and uneven. Louisa rounded the bend, and the second she saw the clearing, she gasped like she was punched in the gut with surprise. Our mother lay on her side near the base of the void's undulating pillar, her skin thin and pale against the stone. Her dark brown hair spilled across the ground. She wore a dark green dress that pooled around her knees, and a thick brown sweater, loose at the cuffs, draped around her like a blanket. One sleeve had slipped down her arm, her hand resting against the cold stone. The other lay folded lightly over her stomach, like she'd simply laid down to rest. For one terrifying second, I thought she was gone. Then her chest rose. "Mom?" Louisa choked. We ran to her, our steps uneven as we hurried over the jagged and rocky ground. I dropped to my knees beside her, my hands hovering over her, afraid to touch too hard, afraid she'd shatter. Her eyelids fluttered open slowly, like waking from something deep and heavy, and they immediately met mine. "Ivory," she murmured. Louisa made a broken sound and collapsed forward, clutching her, pressing kisses to her cheek, her hair, her shoulder, like she was trying to prove to herself that she was really there.
You're real.
Louisa sobbed.
You're really here.
Our mother's hand lifted weakly and brushed Louisa's face, her thumb catching tears the way she used to when we were small. "Oh, my Lulu," she whispered. Something in my chest loosened, just a little. Enough to ache. And then the air shifted. The darkness at the pillar's base thickened, and it seemed to pull inward, then rippled, and something stepped forward from its surface. It was taller than Kai, taller than Drak, taller than anything I'd ever seen. Its shape was almost human, arms, a torso, a head, but everything about it was wrong. Its surface flowed like smoke trapped beneath glass. Its face rearranged itself constantly, like it couldn't decide which serious look to wear. I recognized it. It was the glue mine, the large one, from the hospital. I stared at it in shock. Louisa gasped and scrambled back, dragging me with her, but it didn't attack. It just stood there, watching us. Its presence pressed against my thoughts, heavy and intimate. A deep sadness washed over me, like the glue mine's very existence was wearing down the parts of me that still wanted to fight. Behind us, a sudden, violent rush of wind and a shadow tore across the summit. Stone cracked as talons struck hard. Drak landed near the edge of the clearing, wings flared wide, his chest heaving. His eyes locked instantly on us, on me, on Louisa. "There you are," he snarled, stalking forward. "The rumblings were true. You came to the summit, of all places." "Drak," I started, but his gaze quickly shifted from me to the void's pillar and the massive glue mine in front of us, then down to our mother, alive beside it. His movements slowed. Confusion flickered across his face, then hardened into something sharp and fractured. A harsh, broken laugh tore from his throat. "My theories are true," he breathed. He turned back toward us, his one good eye dark and blazing. "You're not just connected to all of this, to the void," he spat. "You are the void." Louisa shrank back instinctively, lifting her arms as if she could shield herself from the accusation. "You're controlling it," Drak roared, "hiding behind it while our world is consumed." He swiftly lunged, but the large glue mine reacted just as fast. One thick, inky arm surged forward, slammed into Drock's chest with a thunderous crack and pinned him down against the stone. Another wrapped around his wings, locking them tight. Loose gravel skittered toward the edge. Drock yelled, thrashing violently. "Let me go!" he roared. The glue mine lifted him fully off the ground, holding him suspended against its body, rage draining from Drock's face, and quickly turned into panic. "This is your fault!" he shouted at us. "You did this!" Then, slowly, deliberately, the glue mine turned. It began to walk back toward the pillar, toward the void. Drock's cries echoed off the jagged stone walls, stripped of anger and reduced to fear. My heart hammered painfully. "You did this." His words rang loudly in my mind, and suddenly I wasn't on the mountain anymore. I was back in the Crystallis cavern, watching memories breathe in the walls. I saw my dad's face again, heard his voice. "You didn't cause it, but you carried it anyway." Another memory surged forward. The hospital room, the beeping machines, my mother's frail body sunken into the sheets. Then, the glue mine that stood before us, holding her in that room as she shakily reached for me. "Don't let them take me." I sucked in a sharp breath and looked at her now, here, alive, breathing. Louisa knelt beside her, clutching her sleeve, eyes wide and wet and fixed on me. And Drock was still screaming, not in anger, but in terror. I had finally understood just then. He wasn't truly trying to destroy or kill. He was trying to give his pain somewhere to go, just like I had, just differently. He didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve to be taken, consumed, by his anger and fed back to the void like proof that his overwhelming suffering had won. I stepped forward. "Wait," I said, not loud, but the glue mine stopped anyway, only inches from the pillar, and turned toward me. Even the wind seemed to pause at the sound of my voice. I looked at the massive bald eagle, still struggling in the glue mine's arms. "You lost them," I said carefully, confidently. "Your parents." His thrashing slowed at this, and his breathing stuttered. I could see his eyes shoot over at me, one scarred and gray. The other was focused on me, but not like it had before, with rage. This time, with the intent to listen. "And you never stopped screaming," I said. You learned how to bury it." The glue mine's surface rippled, its form wavering as it firmly clutched Drock. "I lost mine too," I said. I glanced back at my mother, eyes open now, watching me, a small, weak but steady smile on her face. Then I looked back at Drock, at the thing that had a hold on him. "But I'm done letting the ache choose what happens next," I said, directing the words at the glue mine. I watched as the glue mine's grip had loosened, just slightly. "Ivory," my mother whispered, and I turned. She was sitting up now, braced on one arm, Louisa supporting her. Her eyes were clear, gentle, steady, watching me with the same quiet trust she'd always had when she knew I was about to do something hard. "You don't have to carry it anymore," she said softly. My throat closed and tears formed. "I know," I whispered as I moved to her side and took her hand. "Still real." "I didn't even really get to say goodbye," I said, the tears slipping free. "I kept thinking there'd be more time." Her thumb brushed slowly over my knuckles. Her touch was cool, but it grounded me. "There is," she said, "right now." Louisa rested her head against Mom's shoulder, tears pouring down her cheeks silently. "I'm scared," I admitted, my voice breaking. "I know," Mom said gently. The glue mine had taken a step toward us, then another, moving closer, its presence heavy but no longer intimidating or crushing. Drock hung still in its grasp, breathing hard, listening, his body twitching every few seconds. I stuttered, and looked up at the glue mine, scared, but determined. I'm ready, I said and nodded. The mountain peak had rumbled, the void's hum had pulsed louder, and the glue mine released Drock. He dropped back, wings shuddering as he stumbled away, shaking them like he was trying to rid his feathers of anything still clinging to them. The glue mine moved toward us, toward my mother, and gently, so gently, it wrapped its arms around her and lifted her off the ground. Not violent, not cruel, almost reverent in a way.
Mommy!
Louisa cried. Mom lay in its arms and reached out to both of us, squeezing our hands once more, her smile soft and full, entirely herself. I love you so, my girls, she said. Louisa's grip tightened instantly.
Don't!
She choked, shaking her head.
Don't go. Not again. Please, not again.
Mom's hand lifted weakly, brushing against her cheek. Louisa leaned into it like she was trying to hold the moment in place. The glue mine stepped closer to the pillar, and Mom's hand drifted away. I grabbed Louisa and pulled her into a hug. She took a shaky breath, her whole body trembling as she let herself go. The glue mine reached the pillar and vanished with her. She was gone. Not ripped away, but released. The pillar let out a low, bellowing sound and convulsed. The void trembled. Its strands were writhing without sound, pressure warping through the air itself. Cracks spread across its dark surface like glass under strain, and light tore through it, blue and white and blinding. The pillar collapsed inward. The dome dissolved. And then, the void tore itself apart. Its once intimidating and rippling mass was gone. A rush of air flooded the summit, like the mountain had finally taken a breath. Drock stared around wildly, then launched into the sky, his enormous wings trembling. He circled once, twice, then dropped back down in front of us. I held Louisa tight. Drock looked at me, and his beady black eye was raw and undone as he stared at us, his chest rising and falling hard. I felt worry rise, but I stared back at him with an immovable spirit. His gaze flicked between me and Louisa. Humans? He started. The had word caught. His beak seemed to tighten, and his eyes shifted, something breaking behind them, but he didn't finish. For a brief moment, his gaze met mine. I gave a small nod, and something in his posture loosened. He gave the slightest nod back, then turned away and spread his wings to take off. Drock! I called. He turned his head, wings still outstretched. You don't have to carry this anymore, I said, and he paused. He looked down for a second, then launched himself into the open sky. We watched as he disappeared over the ridge. Behind where our mother had been, the mirror remained, standing tall, the framed chrysalis still glowing blue. The surface rippled, and within it, home. St. Joseph's Medical Center flickered like a memory you could step into. It was a portal. It was our way back. Louisa squeezed my hand. We didn't move right away, but stood there for a moment, breathing, shaking, letting the air fill the hollow spaces grief had left behind. I stared at the place where Mom had been, as if my eyes could rewind time, as if I could bargain with the universe one last time, but memory of Dad and the cavern rose in my mind again. Then what is it about? I asked, frustrated, crying. Moving, he said. Not back, through. I felt Louisa's fingers tighten around mine.
I don't want to go,
she whispered, wiping tears from her face with her dirty sleeve. I know, I said, my voice cracking. I thought of Noctavir, of the winding paths through the great forest, of the cobblestone streets in Floria, of lanterns swaying between branches and bridges in Aerovia, of the voices and names and moments that had stitched themselves into us in ways I hadn't expected. I thought of Flurry, Ambi, and Kai. I thought of a world that now had a future. A world that would wake up tomorrow without something waiting at its edges to swallow it whole.
Do you think
She started, then swallowed.
we could go back down first? Just for a minute?
Her voice was small now.
I want to see Ambi again. I want to tell her goodbye.
My chest ached. I looked at the mirror, the crystallis frame already dimming, the blue light inside thinning, flickering like a breath running out. I knew we didn't have much time. I don't think we can, I said gently. Louisa followed my gaze. She nodded with saddened eyes before I even finished. I don't think the crystallis will hold much longer, I added. We need to get home. Louisa wiped her face again.
Yeah,
She whispered.
I know.
We stood there in silence for a moment, the mountain wind moving around us, softer now, peaceful.
We'll remember them.
Louisa said. I knew that wasn't a question, but a promise. I know, I said, and they'll be okay. Noctavir will be okay. She took a shaky breath, then leaned into my side. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders and held her close. We're ready, I said quietly. She nodded. Together. I took one last look at the summit, at the stone, the sky, the place where everything had ended and begun all at once. Then we stepped forward, together, into the portal, toward our home, and left Noctavir behind.